It's 5:50. Welcome back to the Todd and Oz Show. Let's give them the business. It's brought to you by Align Foot and Ankle, online at alignfootclinic.com. That's alignfootclinic.com. Well, it's getting harder to find entry-level workers in the trades, and trade schools are struggling to hire qualified instructors at a time when more young people are showing some interest in the trades. Shannon Noble is with the Texas Air Conditioning Contractors Association and says that fewer teachers means fewer graduates, which hurts the industry.
As fast as Texas is growing, there's not going to be anybody to come to your house in August when your air conditioner goes
Governor
out.
Greg Abbott has signed a couple of new laws to expand career and technical education opportunities for students. He calls it a game changer. The U.S. Department of Education reports at least 26 states are experiencing a shortage in trade school education. As the city of Austin continues to claim that raising your property taxes by 20% is the only option, other areas of the state are proving that tax hikes are not always the answer. In fact, Tarrant County officials have approved a tax rate that will actually lower property tax bills. Andrew McVeigh is with the group Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, and he says this is not rocket science.
We're spending the people's money on priorities and not spending it on things that really aren't in the proper role of government.
And he says other counties should follow Tarrant County's lead to learn how to actually be more responsible with the taxpayers' money. And on top of Austin's push for a 20% hike, Travis County has also approved a 9% increase too. Travis County officials claim the extra revenue is needed to cover flood damage and to prepare for future disasters. The city of Austin is looking for some feedback on plans to improve the flow of traffic on 6th Street between Congress Avenue and I-35. As you know, the city rolled out 3 different renderings of what those changes might look like, and one option would add a bike lane on both sides of the street and provide new space for vehicles dropping off or loading. The second option would add just one bike lane and space for loading and drop-offs on the other side of the streets. And the third option adds no bike lanes but offers more curbside access for drop-off and loading. Now, there's a survey on the city's website. An engineering study is underway that will be, available for you to consider. We'll be finished by the end of the year, and the design work could begin as early as next year. It is 5:52. Mexico has activated emergency controls after detecting a new case of a world screwworm.
The case was detected in the northern border state of Nuevo Leon, and it's the closest case to the U.S. border since the outbreak began last year. Mexico's agriculture secretary said in a post on social media that Mexico is controlling the isolated case of screwworm in Nuevo Leon under measures to fight the pest agreed with the U.S. in August. He also says the recent case was handled in the early stages of the fly's larva development, and that because of the early detection, they believe there is no possibility of the fly emerging. The screwworm was found in an 8-month-old feeder calf that was part of a shipment from Veracruz.
That's newsman Stephen Pickering reporting. It is 5:53. Texas homeowners could be impacted if the government is shut down October the 1st.
That's because the National Flood Insurance Program will lapse, and that, of course, is underwritten by the federal government. Rich Johnson with the Insurance Council of Texas says it would impact new policies or renewals, and there's a 30-day waiting period after anybody gets a new policy or re-ups. He says wherever it rains, it can flood.
90% of flood events where flood insurance is needed is actually in low-risk areas. We need to remember that there is no no-risk area. There are just low-risk and high-risk areas.
He says you might want to look into a private policy just in case.
Barbara Schwartz reporting. It is 5:53. New research being done in Texas is putting humans one step closer to living on the moon or maybe Mars. Kevin Supak is with the Southwest Research Institute and said they're partnering with UT San Antonio to test new technology that would allow astronauts to create the resources they need while living on another planet.
Take the salt water that is available in Mars and the CO2 and make a chemical process that makes products that we need.
And he says they're talking about things like fuel, oxygen, fertilizer for food, and he says this is an exciting time for the space race. The U.S. is in competition with China, which also wants to set a base on the moon. President Trump is expected to sign off to keep a deal and keep TikTok operating in the United States.
A deal for TikTok to be taken over by a group of U.S. investors is expected to be signed by President Trump on Thursday. The White House announced a potential agreement earlier this week for ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese-owned operator, to divest from the popular social media app. A 2024 law approved by Congress requires ByteDance to divest or be banned in the U.S. over national security and privacy concerns. President Trump has signed multiple extensions keeping TikTok active as negotiations with China continued. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
All right, stay close. Traffic, your forecast, the day's top stories, and you can always join us on the Todd and Oz Show at 512-836-0590. It is 5:55.
The Todd and Oz Show.
I want people in Austin to understand that foot health is not something to ignore.
Dr. Twee Ho Ellsworth from Align Foot and Ankle.
At Align, we emphasize proactive care and education, empowering patients to make informed decisions about their health, whether it's managing pain, treating chronic conditions, or optimizing performance for athletes. We're here to support the community's foot health needs.
So take your foot and ankle problems to Align Foot and Ankle. Online, alignfootclinic.com. That's alignfootclinic.com.